Thank you very much for hosting us for this breakfast and for taking questions. My question is about the day after you become president, once you've become president next year. So you've talked about anti-colonialism and anti-imperialism. I'm the ambassador of Spain, sorry, Raimundo Robredo. The European Union's relationship with Africa and African countries is generally guided, I would say absolutely guided, by the priorities of those countries that are aligned with the African Union and with these countries. As my brother, the High Commissioner of Nigeria, said, one of the things it requested is foreign direct investment, which I think you've criticized in some way. Other thing is cooperation in peace and security, for instance, in Cabo Delgado, which I think I've heard that you've also critical of that, is done at the request of these countries. So my question is, what would you do differently, and what would be your relationship with the European Union once you become president? What would you change? What would you think we should do differently? And what would you put on the table also as a value proposition for the European Union? Because as you said, we all defend our own national interests. That is something that all diplomats do. So what would you propose to the European Union differently from the value proposition of Africa today, South Africa and Africa? And what would you request from us? How would South Africa's policy towards the EU be different? Also regarding trade, for instance, the preferential trade agreements, TDCA or AGOA with the US, would you change that? Thank you.
The same thing with the European Union. Don't say, what are we going to ask from you? That's a big brother mentality. What are you going to ask from us? Yes, don't say, why should it be us who are asking? We're not asking for anything. We're fine. So let's relate as equals, not as a beggar and the big brother supplier. No, we will relate with the European Union. It's a necessary body. We'll relate with it, we'll respect it, and the respect must be mutual, and will engage on what is in the interest of our countries, not what is in the interest of the European Union. We're in a mess now. We've decommissioned our power stations because countries like the USA, like the UK have said to us, no, do away with these things. We're going to introduce green energy. Here's the money and all of that. People took the money. There is no electricity today. So we ought to relate as equals so that no one imposes their ideas on us. We are people that subscribe to superior logic. Anything that is scientific, anything that has been proven, anything that makes sense, we'll agree with it. It doesn't matter whether it comes from European Union or it comes from BRICS or it comes from China or Russia. No, we will not agree with anything that seeks to belittle us and make us look like we are beggars in this kind of a relationship. So that's the same with AGOA. You can't use AGOA to threaten us in terms of our sovereignty and our foreign policy. That if you are going to bring Putin here and not defy, will do away with AGOA. You can do away with AGOA. We remain with our sovereignty. Should you strip us of our dignity because we are desperately looking for AGOA? That our foreign policy is now determined somewhere else. Which nation can be proud of that? That our foreign policy is determined somewhere because we are beneficiaries of AGOA. It can't be correct. Let's trade and have those benefits of AGOA out of mutual understanding and respect for each other's sovereignty and foreign policy. Not that today, because we don't agree on Putin, you must withdraw the whole thing. That is puppeting, that is belittling, that is making us look like we are beggars. But let's remain with our dignity. Let's be beggars with dignity, not stripped of dignity and thinking that you are what you are not. You can't even make your own foreign policy determinations because AGOA will be taken away. We are spreading the wings of the EFF. We have EFF in Liberia, we have EFF in Lesotho, we have EFF in Namibia, we have EFF in Zimbabwe, we whereas young organization in terms of age, but already we're finding an expression in other African countries because we're trying to take this spirit into other African countries. We need to strengthen AU, give it more teeth to bite. The decisions of the AU must be taken and they must be firmly implemented by countries of Africa if we are going to say this is a serious continental body. Business has no choice. We're the only organization that is very clear of what we want. And therefore, business in dealing with the EFF, they know what they're dealing with. Policy position is very clear. And we're happy with the response yesterday. It was overwhelming. We really enjoyed ourselves. And the kind of support we received from the South African business yesterday was really welcomed. Black, white, Indians, Africans, coloreds, all manner of business, men and women were there to support the EFF. And that's what made the rally possible tomorrow, because of the support of these business people who are not scared of the establishment. Ukraine peaceful solution is that Ukraine must not join NATO. That's the solution. So that we protect the territory. I mean, Russia doesn't feel threatened. It's as simple as that. And I sympathize with you, and I like the fact that you like dialogue, and I like dialogue. We can engage about that because NATO is not a very peaceful organization. You can't talk peace and NATO in one sentence. It's not true what you are saying, because what peace did NATO take to Libya? Look at what you did to Libya to date. Because you are going after one man, you destroy the whole country. So if it brought peace in Norway, it has not brought peace in Africa. And our experience with NATO is not what you have experienced. And therefore, we respectfully disagree with that. I agree with you that elections are coming and South Africa must play an important role. There's a problem in Zimbabwe. There's a big problem in Zimbabwe where the rights of citizens are being violated openly and no one is saying anything about it, including South Africa. Elections get stolen daylight by the army. For sure they have the results by now. Me and you are still talking about elections. They are done. They have the results. Those things, that's a formality. It can't be correct that ZANU-PF holds the people of Zimbabwe hostage. If it means ZANU-PF must lose elections for it to go and self-correct, so be it. But let the people, the voice of the people of Zimbabwe be respected. It can't be a win-win-win at all costs. In the EFF, we believe strongly that Chamisa won the last elections. And it was undermined by violence that was unleashed on citizens of Zimbabwe. But is the sanctions solution? No. No. The Zimbabweans are suffering as we speak. You know how you negotiate the best terms as business and as countries. Zimbabwe should be open to you to go and invest there, but negotiate the best deals and conditions of such investment. No sanctions must stop you from going to invest in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans are struggling, and the world must go and help Zimbabweans. You know, this thing of territorial threats, we know them here. We've got an army base here in Botswana. What is America doing here in Botswana? Why is Africa not in American borders? What do you call that? And you come and say imperialism and colonialism is finished. When people expand their territorial expansion through putting military bases at our borders. There's a military base here. A study has been conducted that a fighter jet that moves from that army base to the Union building will not take less than 2 minutes to bomb the Union building. If a war is declared with America, America does not have to assemble any resource from Washington or anywhere else to come here. They are already here. What do you call that? It's democracy. It's free world. We must celebrate that and say, no, imperialism is no longer there. It's in our head. We understand what Putin is fighting against because we have it here. Here. What is it doing here? We never went to Asia. We never went to Europe. We never went to America. We are here. We don't establish bases anywhere. Why should you establish bases in military bases in our continent? And when we speak, it's called old-fashioned politics. That they are out of fashion. There's no such a thing as imperialism. When imperialism is breathing on our neck, we're not going to allow that. We are going to expose that American military base here all the time in the platforms we get and educate our people that this is exactly what Putin is fighting against. America will not allow that. That Russia must go and establish a military base in Cuba with missiles facing the USA. They won't allow that. So we must not be allowed, we must not be asked to accept the things that you will not accept if they were to happen in your countries. And that's what we're talking about when we speak about NATO and peace not going together. So, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't mean enmity. We're not enemies. We engage robustly. Our policies can be challenged the same way we challenge your policies. We are open for engagement. South Africa is open for investment in our own terms. We know what multinational companies have done to our economy, coming to milk our resources, leaving us dry. The case in point is a place called Marikana. Just go and see what the London mine did there and what Sibanye is doing there. To date, with a huge operation of a mine just next to it, there is no water, there's no tar road, there's no electricity, there are no houses, no proper schools. People are squashed in one place. Yet, a stone thrown away, there is a mine. We cannot allow that to continue as is under the EFF. We want a mine that will benefit our people. Why do people say, no, the state must not own a bank in South Africa? Because there are private banks. Why do you need a state bank? Because they want to continue to exploit people and charge them high interest. Why do you say you don't want the state to be in the bank, but the state is in hospitals? There is private hospitals, there is state hospitals. There is private schools, there is state schools. There must be private banks and state banks. And the private bank, the private hospitals and schools and private everything, even where the state participate, the private sector still maximize profit, even when there is an option of a state. We will not close them down under the EFF. We'll do what Kenya did. We'll not close private schools. We'll build quality public education where people will abandon private schools and go to public schools like in Kenya, where Kenyans leave private schools because public education is better. That's what we need to do. Private schools are closing in Kenya. So we will not close any mine. Why should we close a mine? We are the ones who issue the licenses. of mines. We will give a license of a profitable mine to the state-owned mining company, where mining will not cost the state a lot of money, where the mineral resource is close. You don't need many resources and money to produce the product. That license shall go to the state, because we're the ones who allocate the license. Why should you close the mine? That's what nationalization means. Means a state-owned mining company will be established and shall mine next to the American mining companies. Won't close them down, but will mine in such a way that they will not see a need to continue mining, because the state will be doing so well and will crush corruption. The biggest problem is corruption, and the Chinese have dealt with it and dealt with it decisively. You steal money of ARVs, money that must go to people who are HIV positive, by go and buy medication for people who are HIV positive. You steal that money, and as a result, a lot of people die. Why should you be alive after killing people? You deliberately killed people. You knew when you don't give them that medication, they're going to die. What happens? What are the consequences there? You don't get killed, you don't get imprisoned, yet a lot of people have died. Everybody has concerted that ESCOM collapsed because of corruption. But we don't know who's corrupt till to date. But they know there is corruption. Corruption. ESCOM collapsed. And as a result, oxygen machines in hospitals switched off and people died. So you are not just corrupt, you are a murderer. So they are saying corruption, they don't refer to them as murderers. They are murderers. They killed people. Yet not a single one of them has been arrested. Society has got no problem of corruption. They want you to deal with it decisively. Then they know there are consequences. They will run away from corruption. So that's the kind of leadership we'll introduce in this country, where we deal decisively with things that are not beneficial to the people of South Africa. But we're internationalist in outlook. There's no way we can exist in isolation. We need you for us to survive. And that's why we are open for an engagement. No country can exist in isolation. We need friends. And those friends is all of you who are in this hall. We might disagree on this or that, but what brings us together is humanity. We want to see humanity succeed, and that's what makes us friends. And the door of the EFF remains open for bilateral engagements with individual embassies who seek more clarity. We're there. Our international relations office is here. Tomorrow we're in a rally. After the rally tomorrow, things are back to normal. At any day, whether it's USA or Germany or UK or Zimbabwe or China or Russia, anyone who seeks to engage us, our door is open. Please, let's come and engage further on many other issues. This is a big platform where we may not go into some of the details, but in that kind of an engagement, Dean, I think it will be better to engage more, especially that you represent the continent of Africa. Thank you very much.
Please join our Telegram group by going through my description box and click on the Telegram link you see in the description box and join us on Telegram as we discuss about the well-being of Africa. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. Thanks for watching.